The National Road Traffic Act prohibits people from using handheld communication devices while driving. So how much of a challenge is this now? Let's speak to the Road Traffic Management Corporation spokesperson, Simon Zwane. Simon, great to speak to you on the program once again. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. I mean, how much of this content, on places like TikTok, you really get to see how much of a problem this is. Where people take content while they are behind the wheel, or things that are actually quite shocking and incredibly dangerous. How much of a problem has this now become?
This has become a massive for us because it leads to distraction, lack of attention while people are driving, and we see it also in the high number of hit and run incidents or vehicle overturning incidents, which while the drivers will not own up that they were distracted at the time that the crash happened. But an analysis leads us to believe that some of them are as a result of the use of cell phone, because otherwise that driver would have been able to avoid that particular crash. But because they were not paying attention on the road, they were looking at elsewhere on their phones or taking content, the crash happens. But they will not readily admit it because they know that it has consequences. Because when we investigate as a law enforcement authority. When they admit that to us, then it becomes an offense for which they can be held accountable.
And just reading from that intro that our team had put together for us here on the show, we're talking about, is it not road crashes that are number one now? We're talking about the fact that people are actually using these devices while driving, and this is for social media content. I mean, what do we say during a time like this in particular, when the roads become much more busier? You're going to have a whole lot more law enforcement. I guess you'd need to be much more stricter when it comes to not just handling those devices while someone is driving. You actually have some of these gadgets that you're able to put on the windscreen, and while you are driving, you're able to take content of that. So it really is a mix of a challenge, if I may.
Yes, that's what complicates it for us, because some would be putting that gadget ostensibly to have a GPS, they will argue. But whereas they are using that to record themselves for social media purposes. So it becomes difficult to prove it. But we are working on it in the Western Cape, for instance. Anyone found using a cell phone, that cell phone gets impounded, and while they also get a fine for it, and then you'll have to come back and pay a massive amount of money and fines to get your phone back. So this is some of the interventions that are being looked at to be able to deal with this problem.
Yeah, and perhaps, Simon, let's talk about your state of readiness for this festive season. We're really expecting the roads in terms of traffic to pick up much more next week. So that's likely to be a very busy time for you on the roads.
Yeah, no, it's very busy. We were using this weekend to also flex our muscles and get ready for the coming weekend, because we know it's going to be extremely busy next weekend. We are encouraged by the numbers that we are seeing, because on average, so far, we're seeing about 23 fatalities per day, compared to the past 5 years where the fatalities were above 30 per day. So there is a downward trajectory, but more work still needs to be done. We are challenged by the heavy rainfalls that are being experienced in many parts of the country. That makes our work very difficult. But there are also those people who are driving under the influence of alcohol. So far, I think 57,000 people have been tested for alcohol. and just about 1,000 of them have been arrested for driving under the influence of alcohol. It's a big problem. We know it's a festive season. We know that people have money and they like to indulge in alcohol consumption over this time of the year. So we will also be strengthening on that side of the law enforcement operations.
Simon, thank you very much indeed. We do appreciate your time. I know it's going to be a very busy festive season for you, but it's quite encouraging to hear from you that in terms of the comparison of, deaths between now and this time last year, the numbers really don't, but one death is one death too many. I'm sure everyone is encouraged to go out and have a safe festive season and, of course, be responsible on the roads. Thank you very much indeed, Simon Zwane, who is the Road Traffic Management Corporation spokesperson, encouraging everyone to be safe out there, in particular with the social media content that is taken while people are driving. Please do refrain from that. We're hearing from the authorities now that that's becoming one of the major challenges and is quite a distraction while you are driving. And even for the driver, if you're the passenger who's recording that, it also does become a problem for the driver as well. So do take care out there during this festive season and, of course, be safe on the roads.